What is good, guys? It's your boy Gamers Goon back at you guys today with my Extreme Rules reactions. I'm just gonna say it now before I get into it. The pay-per-view wasn't good. It was a night full of botches by both the superstars, the bookings, and of course the referees, as I'll mention later. Also, I'd like to point out that Peter Rosenberg, I saw one of his tweets today. He was watching the Cavaliers-Warriors game instead of watching Extreme Rules, and this is the company he works for. Really? That is pathetic. So, in the pre-show match, we had Apollo Crews and Kalisto here. Now, I believe it was Corey Graves here. He made a Titus O'Neil and LeVar Ball comparison, saying he didn't know which one was more annoying, whether that be LeVar Ball overall or just Titus O'Neil. It was a short little match here. Kalisto had a near fall on Apollo Crews after a DDT. He'd go outside of the ring. He would go for the ropes for a springboard. Titus would then go on to proceed to tell the ref that he needs to get back in the ring. He does the springboard into a Samoan drop by Apollo Crews, and then Apollo Crews would hit a standing shooting star. And it would be a near count, and Titus O'Neil would argue with Apollo Crews, that leaving Kalisto, the poorly booked Kalisto, to come into the Salida del Sol, kicking O'Neil in the face in the process of beating Apollo Crews. So, really make Kalisto look weak. This oddly booked Kalisto that beat Braun Strowman 1 week and then that lost to Jinder Mahal a couple weeks before the brand split. They don't know what they want to do with Kalisto. If they want to give him that mega push, or if they want to keep Kalisto on the down low. I don't really know what is going to go with Kalisto. Anyways, so we also had The Miz and Dean Ambrose here in a no champions advantage match. You knew Miz was going to win. They didn't hide it very much. Miz would keep tempting Dean Ambrose and keep tempting him, eventually leading him to almost use a chair on him. Dean Ambrose wouldn't do it. Miz at one point would pull the turnbuckle off the corner of the ring. And guess what? Dean Ambrose was about to throw him in, and no. The cheesy little no moment from Dean Ambrose didn't do it. And then Miz would end up almost gotten beat. He tells Maurice to slap him. Maurice slaps him here. And then the ref's like, you know what? I'm not falling for this. I know you guys have a plan. Guess what? You're out of here. And then that leads Maurice to distract the ref for long enough so that The Miz can throw Dean Ambrose into the ref. The ref walks over, is about to disqualify Dean Ambrose when The Miz hits a skull-crushing finale for the win here on Dean Ambrose. The ref gets back in the ring. 1, 2, 3. We got a new IC champion. I didn't mind the outcome of this match. I did mind the booking of this match. It made both The Miz and Dean Ambrose look weak. So what you're telling me here is Dean Ambrose is just going to sit there and look at Maurice the entire time. Don't get me wrong. I'll do it too. But still, he wouldn't go for a dirty deeds. He didn't rebound and get a dirty deeds or anything. It made Dean look very weak. Just one skull-crushing finale. He's done. Out of here. Miz looked weak. He needs help. I get he's a heel, but both of these, it didn't benefit either superstar. The only benefit here is The Miz's paycheck, but that's not for today's talk. Then we had a segment in the back where Bayley was talking about Alexa Bliss, and I'm surprised they brought this up. They brought up how terrible the This Is Your Life segment is. Now, I liked it just because of how good Alexa Bliss tried to insult Bayley here with all the bullcrap Creative gave her. But guess what? Bayley would point out this. She was like, you know what? We all know it was bad. We know it wasn't the Rock and Mankind moments or the Mick Foley Rock moments or Cactus Jack Rock moments. They're all the same people anyways. Then we have the 205 Live match with Rich Swann and Sasha Banks here, picking up the win in the hometown against Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. I did predict this to happen, and I also predicted The Miz to win also. I forget if I picked Kalisto or not, but I picked both of these matches to happen here. I didn't know this was Rich Swann's hometown until after they won. when they said he just broke the hometown curse or something. I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, oh wow, they actually let him win in his hometown. I didn't even notice that it was his hometown here. I did see a sign after they won saying "Welcome home, Swan," and then I was like, why would they even have that sign? Who cares about Rich Swann? So that was a little weird segment that I really didn't care too much about. Then we had the Raw Women's Championship match here. Alexa Bliss was teasing Bayley at the beginning that she was going to let her get the kendo stick. It didn't happen. They both started to fight for the kendo stick. Neither one got it. Bayley had a moment on the outside of the ring where she was about to hit Alexa, and then Alexa started running around the ring, and then she was about to use it, and then she dodged it, and then she threw Bayley into it, and then she got to use it all on Bayley. They booked Bayley extremely weak to a point that I don't really care if Bayley lost or won. I really don't. She's a stale act right now. Alexa Bliss, she puts on a good show just based off her promo work. Her in the ring work could use a little bit of help, but I really do enjoy when Alexa Bliss gets into the ring, whether that be promos or regular matches. So, but it made Bayley look extremely weak. It made Alexa Bliss seem like what Asuka's been doing in NXT, just completely wiping out the competition. All she really did is hit one DDT and a couple kendo stick shots on her, and it was a dub for Alexa Bliss. Then we had the Hardy Boys versus Shamaro here. It was a really, really poorly booked match here. Jeff would exit the cage here in noticeable fashion, and then he re-enter the cage. Correct me if I'm wrong, but shouldn't the Hardy Boys have won? Shouldn't they have won here? I really think they should have. The stipulation was stupid. They lost off a technicality. There was a couple technicality matches here tonight that were lost. The Hardy Boys, they both had to hit the ground at the same time. Even though Jeff Hardy was officially out of the match, he re-entered himself in the match, which is bullcrap. Matt Hardy hit the floor before both of them. They should have won. They didn't keep it that way because apparently Jeff Hardy needed to get out twice now. After Jeff Hardy went high on the steel cage and went for a jump onto Sheamus and Cesaro to save brother Matt. Not brother Nero, brother Matt. They did not become broken. It might lead up to a broken segment. Hopefully it does. I doubt it though. And it also made Matt look very, very stupid here. Matt freaking Hardy. The genius Matt Hardy is for making the broken gimmick. You just made Matt Hardy think pulling his brother out of the ring instead of stopping the other two from getting out of the ring is more important. You're supposed to win. Why wouldn't you take them out? Why would you throw them off the cell? I mean, he was looking right at him. They couldn't have just booked him to take at least one of them out and try to drag him over. And then when he's turned his back, one of them gets out. I had an issue with that. I really did. It was a poor finish for Matt. It was the Hardy's first loss. I don't mind it, but it made Matt look really, really dumb here. Probably the best match on the show here was Neville and Aries. It got pretty technical at the beginning with the exchange of submissions here. There was a later point in the match where they became more heavy hitting. There was a moment where Aries would convert a powerbomb into the ropes, into the last chancery here. Neville would roll out of the ring while still locked. He would tap on the outside of the ring. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this technicality is fake because the stipulation is whoever taps first, you can only win by submission. Which also brings me to my next point. The referee that was refereeing that match called the count on the outside of the ring. He was going 1, 2, 3. You're not supposed to do that in a submission match. That's another botch there. And I also think after Neville would roll him back, or Aries would roll him back in, Neville would gain control. He'd hit a red arrow on the back of Aries, and then he would lock him in to a submission, and then make Aries tap. He went off a technicality basically here. Imagine this feud dwindles for some more time here. But at the end here, I think this was also another botch. Austin Aries was like almost smiling. He was smirking at the end of this match, which really got to me. I really couldn't get it out of my head. He was like almost smirking on the outside. And they zoomed in on it, but then they backed off, and then he got a straight face on the next shot. But I think it was like really, really awkward that they zoomed in on him smiling after he just lost. So I don't know why that was there. Then we had the Fatal 5-Way match. Basically, it was a copy and paste of all Fatal 4-Way matches. Here, you got in Fatal 4-Way matches, you got 2 in the ring, 2 outside the ring that aren't moving. This case, it was 2 inside the ring, 3 outside the ring that aren't moving. So here, all 3 guys were out of the ring when, or my bad, 2 guys were out of the ring here when Joe and Wyatt had an interaction over Finn Balor. It was an interesting little interaction here. They were teaming up on Balor a lot in this match, actually. Then a lot of other boring things happened that I really didn't care about. And then Bray Wyatt would go for Sister Abigail to Seth before Joe saved Seth here from getting pinned. Then Balor would be on the ground, and Wyatt and Joe would both have their fun using a chair on Balor. Also on here, they had a bunch of swantons onto them, or not swantons, but had swantons running, but not from the ropes. They'd both get their fun with Finn Balor. Then Wyatt would take Roman Reigns down. And then Balor would get some momentum here. He'd drop kick everyone here. Then he'd take Bray Wyatt to the announcer desk. He'd lay him on there, tease a coup de grace. And then Joe here, Samoa Joe here, comes on in and stops his plans, hitting a coquina clutch on to Finn Balor. Then he would walk him slowly but surely over to the barricade, and y'all know what happens next when there's a barricade and there's a Roman Reigns spear. So they both got speared, making Roman look extremely strong here. So that left Roman and Seth standing. There was the moment where Seth went for a frog splash on Bray Wyatt here. He took Bray Wyatt down. It did look like he hurt himself. I don't know if it was scripted or if it wasn't, but it really did look like legit injury. They didn't throw up the X at Extreme Rules, but it did look legit for the simple fact that when I was watching that, it looked like his knee hit the corner of the table, which I know is not a spot you want to hit on the table. I didn't think he got far enough on that jump there. They went back in the ring. They stared at each other for a couple seconds, and then they went back and forth. Roman Reigns would hit a Superman punch. Seth would kick out. Then Seth would roll up Roman Reigns after a spear, kick out. And then he'd hit a frog splash, kick out. And then he'd try a Phoenix splash. No good. And then Bray Wyatt would come on in. He'd try the Sister Abigail. And then Roman Reigns was about to hit him with a spear. He tried the Sister Abigail on him. He didn't hit either of them. Then Seth Rollins would buckle bomb Reigns. Reigns would bounce up, Superman punch, rebound, off the rebound. And then Balor would try to do a double knees to Roman Reigns here. Reigns would Superman punch Balor. Balor would get up. When Reigns was about to hit a spear, Balor would hit a sway blade and on the spearing Reigns. Then Finn Balor would hit a coup de grace on to Roman Reigns. And he was going to get the pin over Roman Reigns when Samoa Joe stole the second time. He stole a victory against Finn Balor, putting Balor to sleep with the coquina clutch. So I don't know if the moments where Seth Rollins jumped on the table, that was botched. It looked a little bit botched. I don't know if there were some moments in that were botched. It really did seem like it. I know the Neville match was botched because of the referee, and I also seen that Aries messed up. I know the Hardy match here was a little bit not really botched, but they got kind of screwed over by WWE Creative just based on what the storyline here was. I can assume that the creative also messed up this women's match here. It was really stupid. It made Bliss look way too strong for a 5-foot girl. Way too strong. I don't mind the outcome, but it really didn't look good for Bayley. It made Bayley look extremely weak, taking, 5 kendo stick shots? 205 Live here, I don't really care about. There's probably a botch in there I could point out. The Dean Ambrose Miz match, there was a point where Miz was going for his clotheslines in the corner, and Dean Ambrose, I think he botched here too. Dean Ambrose fell over and then he got back up, and then he did it again too, and then the next time he stayed up straight, and then he went back and hit him again. So he did the 4 of them essentially, where the first 2 made Dean Ambrose fall down, which I don't think was scripted to do because he looked like he became off balance. I don't know if that was due to actuality, whether that was scripted or not, or whether that was a moment where it was a botch by Dean Ambrose. I don't know. I know the Neville match was botched by the referee. And the Kalisto and Apollo Crews match, nobody cared about, nobody wants to see, and nobody really liked this pay-per-view. If I were to rate this pay-per-view, to be generous, I'd give it a 3, maybe a 2. I think a 2 would be more logical, but just simply based off the fact that the winners were correct, then I'm going to say it was a 3. But based off the booking of the winners, I mean, I do agree with what happened. I just don't agree with how they went about it. I would book it as a 2. I mean, I know why Miz won. I understand that. I understand why Kalisto won. And my computer keeps doing this. I don't know why. But anyways, I also understand why Swan and Sasha won. You don't want to make Sasha look weak against Alicia Fox. I don't know why the hometown curse got to be lifted for them instead of with a guy like AJ Styles last week on SmackDown. I understand why Bliss won. I just don't like the way they went about it by making Bayley look very weak. I don't like the way they made Matt Hardy look really dumb here by not going after Sheamus and Cesaro when they were clearly escaping. I don't mind the outcome, however. I don't mind the Neville outcome. I was just mad that the refs did what the ref did, and I'm also very, very upset at the freaking moment where Aries was smiling after a loss. It's not an Andrade Cien Almas moment. He's not a partier. He's not. And in the Fatal 5-Way, I found the Balor, Wyatt, Joe interactions a little interesting. That could be a match for SummerSlam, but I don't think it will be. I don't think Joe is going to even have a close shot at Brock Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire, which they showed the logo of. The logo was extremely terrible. Don't want to ever see that ever again. I don't even know if I'm going to watch the pay-per-view with that kind of logo. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. It's been your boy, Gamers Goon. I'm out. Thank y'all. Make sure you click that red sub button. Make sure you ring that bell. And make sure you click that thumbs up. Thank you.